Ladies and gents, I came across this video on Peter Schiff's channel. Yeah, you can agree with him, you can disagree with him, but it's wise to actually listen to him and then make our conclusions, right? And not just ignoring, oh yeah, he doesn't know anything. The dude knows quite a bunch of stuff about the economy, precious metals, whatever. Yeah, and on the Bitcoin side, he's a little, different. He doesn't like Bitcoin, I get it. But however, keeping crypto aside, I'm not here to talk about crypto in this episode. I'm just going to talk about the economy, because I came across this video and I kind of agree with quite a bunch of stuff he said. And yeah, I'm just going to play this video real quick. However, I'm going to read actually from the article, just to summarize this. Then I'll check on the comments and I'll give you my 2 cents. All right?
Showing at least Fed funds futures that there's a very slim chance that we would see a rate move.
Well, right now it's still 10 to 1 against, but things are starting to perk up. Inflation's a little better. The economy continues to be weaker and weaker. And even though we don't see a recession, we see a continuing economic problems, as well as a lot of stuff overseas. And let me bring up one other thing. A lot of what we're seeing today, and we pointed it out first thing this morning, is the fact that the yen is getting crushed. And so as the yen goes higher, and higher means lower.
He has valid points too. I just want to play the Peter Schiff side, right? So he was asked a valid question, and let me show you this right here. This is the CPI. Look at Canada, look at United States and Australia. Cautionary tale that the Fed, if cuts,
too early.
Well, not only is it cutting too early, it stopped hiking too early. Rates are still much too low. The Fed never actually moved rates into restrictive territory. That's just not true. Credit continues to expand in the economy. Look at the federal deficit. Look at household debt. And now I read that the U.S. government is soon going to be guaranteeing second mortgages. That is a major expansion of credit. It is highly inflationary. So all the central banks that are cutting rates are doing it not really because they've won the war against inflation, but because fighting inflation has caused other financial problems that are now a greater concern for the central banks. And I think the Fed is going to fall victim to the same concern. They are probably going to eventually cut rates, and they're going to be fueling an inflation fire.
And yet we're getting GDP,
That is pretty brutal, whatever he said. And guess what? Uncle Sully got you back. He literally summarized the thing, main points, because when you actually see the print, kind of makes more sense. Exposing the Fed's inflation dilemma, insights from Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff and Andy Brenner offer starkly different views on the Federal Reserve's policies. Brenner points out that while market expectations for a rate move are low, there are underlying issues such as the weakening yen and its impact on Japanese Treasury holdings. This dynamic, he argues, is affecting U.S. Treasury yields more than the Fed's actions. Schiff, however, takes a more critical stance, arguing that the Fed stopped hiking rates too early and that the current rates are still not in restrictive territory. He highlights the continuous expansion of credit and increasing federal deficits as signs that inflationary pressures remain strong. The second mortgages the government is guaranteeing, which the money doesn't exist, so it's created into the air, right? The system, when people are taking it and buying on credit, expansion of credit, much more inflationary. Very straightforward, actually. Which means all the goods that we see is gonna go up in prices. All right. According to Schiff, the real danger lies in the Fed's potential to cut rates prematurely, fueling further inflation. If the economy kind of tanks, Fed has to come and kind of protect it to some extent. And what do you think they're gonna do? Cut rates again? Schiff points out that recent moves by central banks in Canada and Australia to cut rates amidst rising inflation should serve as a cautionary tale for the US. Ladies and gents, Canada and Australia already did it. It's not going that well for them, okay? Most of us actually forget about the other side of the world. We don't pay attention. I have friends in Canada. Some of them are literally struggling and saying, you know what? It's time to move around. Look for cheaper places. Let's move to Windsor. Toronto is expensive. In Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, some of the, costly place to even own a home. I have friends there. Some of them are well off because they have the parental support from the beginning. But a lot of them who just started from square one, like zero, yeah, it's not easy unless we actually learn how the system works, or else they're going to keep playing with us, all right, until we are dead. He warns that such actions are not victories over inflation, but rather responses to emerging financial problems that central banks find more pressing than inflation control. Schiff also criticizes the Fed's stress tests on banks, calling them inadequate as do not account for stagflation, where the economy experienced both a recession and rising inflation. Just think about this for a second. recession, which is like losing jobs and stuff, unemployment, and second, cost of things going up, rising inflation at the same time. He argues that if banks were forced to mark their unrealized losses to market, many would be insolvent, highlighting the fragility of the financial system. That's why that's quiet. Jamie Dimon already gave this cautionary tale, if you remember. The discussion also touches on the broader economic impacts, such as the potential for significant market corrections in August and September. Okay, this is one thing he mentioned. And a lot of you might be like, oh my God, I shouldn't say this. So according to him, okay,
actually stresses or tests for the real stress, which is stagflation. They never look at a scenario where the economy goes
I just
into...
mentioned this, if you remember. And this dude, obviously, he said...
If banks were marked to market, we'd have tremendous trouble. And you know who else, if they marked to market, would be out of business? The Fed itself, with 1.2, 1.3 trillion of losses. But Peter, your point doesn't make sense. If you believe the banks are in trouble, and I don't disagree with that point, then the Fed should be easing, not tightening, because you need to keep your bank solvent.
Well, that's the point. But in order to do that, they have to unleash massive inflation. So I think ultimately that's worse. Wiping out the value of your savings to inflation is worse than having the banks lose your savings. But politically, the government is going to choose to save.
You hear this out? All right, please pay attention to the words. All right, I'm paying it 1.3x. It's real. Why would imagine taking down the savings account versus, I mean, again, I'm just doing this.
Banks
again, okay?
lose your savings. But politically, the government is going to choose to save the banks so that the public keeps its money. But what it's going to lose.
Right? The banks go down, public will lose all the faith, right? So politically, government, I mean, I'm not saying if they're going to do it or not, but yeah, this makes sense. Or they're going to lose trust of the public. And we are, again, November.
Is its purchasing power, because the value of your bank deposits is going to collapse. Of course, the government will blame it on greedy speculators, on business, on the free market. If it did the right thing.
If it happens, they will just blame it on us, speculators and everybody else, which they have been doing for such a long time. Because of someone's messy policies and whatever actions, the whole thing tanks and whatever, gets in this trouble, and you just blame it on us, the other dudes. I mean, dude.
It would be more obvious who the villain was. So they're very good at trying to shift the blame for inflation to third parties. But that's what's going to happen.
Okay, but so what is the most important? We got to run, but what?
You hear that out?
That Powell speaks twice in the next 2 weeks, and he's got a different view than everyone else.
Peter, really quick.
Yeah, and remember, inflation is not prices. It is money supply and credit, which have grown dramatically. Rising prices are merely a...
Best way to explain, it's not just the prices, it's the money supply. When you're expanding the credit to that limit, oblivion, if you're pumping trillions of dollars in the market, oh my God, man. All right, keeping the emotions aside, right? The discussion also touches on the broader economic impacts, such as the potential for significant market corrections in August and September. So, I believe Steve said that? Who's the other guy? Andy. I believe he said that expecting, everything is mooning right now, stock market, he's expecting there could be a correction in August or September, right? The implications of unrealized losses within banks and the likelihood of the Fed having to allow inflation to run rampant to prevent a more severe financial crisis. I mean, somebody will get hurt, and it has to be one of those lower. It's there. It's right there in the prints, man. It's not a gloom and doom. It's just like, okay, you have to let the inflation go up just because you want to save the so-called financial crisis. I mean, anyways, it's just sad to see whatever is happening in the USA, the land of the opportunity, like American dream. I have to show you Australia, Canada, and all the other places. So yes, but however, why? Oh, you know what? Other countries are going down the drain, so America is fine. Let it go down. No, it's just like people compare with all the losers all the time. Like, why? You gotta be the winner. Oh, he barely makes anything, so it's okay. We don't have to. No, don't compare yourself with losers, man. You gotta bring this thing up, ladies and gents, and collectively, it doesn't work that way. Please vote for the right dudes, man. Whoever gets in doesn't matter because they're gonna print to some extent, but at least the one who is a little lesser evil. Or how about you run for the next thingy, man? Yeah, let one of the young dudes run. Okay? Anyways, before I end, I want to check on the comments because that's where the real stuff is. These are real people. Some of them are troll, but trust me, this is interesting and I love to do this. I don't think a lot of YouTubers, they do this kind of stuff. I was advised to diversify my portfolio among several assets, such as stocks and bonds, since this can protect my portfolio for retirement. I'm seeing that I foresee a recession lasting 2 to 3 years. And again, these are all the individuals saying. They are not like so-called professional and financial advisors. But sure, I can learn a few things from them. Why not, right? 2 to 3 years, and if inflation continues to surge, the Federal Reserve will likely raise interest rates soon. Inflation is causing various issues worldwide, such as food shortages. I'm gonna have a video on food shortages. Oh my god, man, it is real. It is real. Supply. I face some of the stuff myself that actually they're running out. Some of the brands, Australian brands, they're not even shipping anymore. Like the kombucha I'm drinking, that's just one of the few cases. I'm like, man, gotta stop. I mean, we'll have a discussion soon on the food stuff, okay? And significant spikes in housing prices, leading to a potential financial market crash. The global downturn could have long-lasting repercussions, given the current inflation rate of approximately 9%. My main worry is how to optimize my savings and retirement fund, which has remained stagnant around 300,000. Numerous opportunities exist to achieve substantial profits. Okay, I'm not gonna read because some of them are shills and this and that, who knows. Man, grocery prices are getting ridiculous. My usual shopping trip keeps costing more each time. Tell me about it. Inflation is killing everyone's budget. I'm worried about the Fed raising interest rates. Yeah, that's a tough call. Higher rates might cool inflation, but could also stall the economy. You see this? Double-edged sword kind of thing, right? I wonder what the Fed is thinking. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Easy to say in hindsight, the economy is a complex beast. It is. That's why I'm looking into talking to a financial advisor. Definitely. Inflation eats away at your purchasing power. Big time. Peter is one of the very few brave souls who isn't afraid to call out the Fed on national television. Yeah, we all should do it. We all should stick to it, okay? And say the truth, basically. At least strive to say the truth. I mean, some people you might lie, so-called, which might not be detrimental to some of the dudes for beneficial, whatever. I don't know if there is such thing, Like my mom used to say, yeah, sometimes you can lie for good. I'm like, maybe, mom. Maybe. Debatable. Anyways, Peter Schiff is awesome. The only mistake he has ever made was underestimating our government's ability to kick the can down the road. Exactly, man. This is one thing that we will never understand. Because I can make all kind of prediction, but once they press a button, they can change the whole trajectory. I'm like, the whole data says it's a recession. No, US is bankrupt. No, it's not. Hold on, give me a second. $trillions out. Whoa, guess what? We're the richest now. That's a problem. You see what I mean? It's just not adding up. Schiff is 100% correct. Everyone needs to hear what Peter had just said, calling it like it is. Man, stuff is getting bad when mainstream folks bring Peter on. And the Fed. Interesting that Peter and his fellow commentaries essentially agree on what is going to happen. It's true. This is one of the video that actually 3 of them has these valid points and coming to the similar conclusion. Prices going up is a result of inflation. Spot on, Peter. Anyways, ladies and gents, I know we all are hurting, okay? Believe it or not. It's a time where we all need to stick together. And I kid you not, I don't make up stuff, man. I see challenges myself. I face it myself. I'm sacrificing. I haven't taken a vacation for years because I'm totally focused on this thing. And I only wish I knew about all this economy stuff back then when I just got into college and all that stuff. Being an immigrant, obviously, I didn't understand the whole system. Neither of my parents guided me. I have relatives around. They're smart enough. They're doctors. They kind of guided their kids in a way, got them into the financial system, advisors, whatever, right? Build them the portfolio. I kind of learned it the hard way, lost quite a lot, gained quite some. I gained a lot of knowledge. Okay, I'm still in a better position than a lot of the people out there. Okay, we are looking at USA and there's so many other countries. So I'm grateful, but at the same time, it just bothers me. Because it's like, when I say I don't deserve this, man, it's not about deserve. I didn't earn this pain, man. I've tried my best for several things and I'm like, they're scammers, they're this and that. So you know what? Sometimes I say, it's not about who deserves what. It's about you earn it. So yes, I spend so much hours every single day creating content and also educating myself. from all these decent dudes. I take all this information. So yes, this is what I do all day. I consume decent amount and learn, and I only wish I knew what I know right now, and I'm still learning. Decade ago, I would be like here, ruling in a way, in a nice way. I would have been here helping other people. Now I'm trying to help myself first, then I can help everybody else. But the least I could do is give you the truth. Fair enough? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next vid.